Hold on to your helmets, Bears News Fan Report crew, because what I'm about to lay on you might just send tremors through Hollis Hall. Are you ready to ride this wave with me? If you've ever felt that itch, that burning hunger for a defensive juggernaut to storm our trenches and rip apart opposing quarterbacks, then hammer that like button and subscribe to Bears News Fan Report right now, because we're about to dive into a saga that could redefine Chicago's identity. Picture the scene. The calendar flips to mid-June, and whispers begin to swirl in the Windy City. Rumors that the front office is not just tinkering with depth charts but plotting a seismic shift, a blockbuster acquisition that elevates this defense from hopeful rebuild to legitimate contender. Think back to last season, when the Bears surrendered a staggering 68 sacks, a number so high it felt like a taunt every time our quarterback dropped back. Could that embarrassing stat book entry finally be expunged by the arrival of a true game-changer? Is Ryan Poles ready to go all in, wielding cap space like a sword to carve out an edge rusher who terrorizes backfields the moment he steps on the grass? What if the missing piece we've craved has suddenly become available? Now, before I drop any names, let's set the stage. We need a hero, someone whose first step explodes off the snap, whose pass rush prowess forces opponents into holding penalties and double teams, someone with a championship pedigree and a physical toolkit that screams unstoppable. Imagine a veteran who, just last season, piled up 14 sacks for a powerhouse team, a player whose presence alone demands respect, alters blocking schemes, and delivers that spine-tingling, stadium-shaking momentum shift every defense dreams of. Could Chicago be on the brink of prying this weapon from another team's grasp? Consider the quarterback's plight a season ago. The pocket felt more like a revolving door, with bodies crashing in from every angle. Our young signal caller deserves better. He deserves time and space to dissect defenses, to unleash deep shots, downfield without fearing a blindside blitz. What would it take to flip the script? Some say it requires a bold draft gamble. Others argue for a free agent splash, but insiders now hint at trade talks so serious they make the offseason feel like the playoffs. Could the Bears swing a mid-round pick, think a 2026 second-rounder plus a conditional asset, and lure a Pro Bowl-caliber predator to Soldier Field? Is that the kind of bold move that separates dinosaurs from dynasties? And let's not forget the human element. We've watched this team grow under a new coaching regime, seen flashes of brilliance in spurts but lacked that defining roar in crunch time. Enter the veteran rusher, the kind of warrior who not only accumulates sacks but embodies leadership, ripping through film sessions and igniting a fire in the locker room. Imagine the rookie lineman studying his technique, the pass rush rookies, learning how to leverage power and finesse because the veteran sets the standard. Could his mentorship alone elevate our entire defensive front from average to elite? But where's the catch? Reports suggest the Bengals, or whoever holds this, stars' rights, aren't giving him up for peanuts. They're demanding value commensurate with his impact, and the Bears brass must decide, is this the moment to cash in draft capital for immediate pain-inflicting returns, or to hold tight and hope for a contingency plan? Meanwhile, the rest of the NFC North is watching, calculating their moves. Will Minnesota counterpunch? Does Detroit swoop in with its own tantalizing offer? Chicago has to strike at precisely the right time, or risk missing out on a cornerstone talent. After all the build-up, here's the centerpiece of our speculation. Could Trey Hendrickson, the 31-year-old sack machine with back-to-back Pro Bowl nods who terrorized quarterbacks in the postseason, be the man suiting up in navy and orange? Imagine his burst off the edge, his hand-fighting finesse, the way he reads screens and chases down QBs on broken plays. Could this be the defining foil that transforms our pass rush into the stuff of legend? We're standing on the edge of a cliff, fellow fans, and the only question left is whether Chicago will leap or linger. Could next season's defensive fireworks begin with a trade package hitting the table? Stay locked in, because when the pieces fall, we'll be right here to unpack every explosive detail and you won't want to miss how this story culminates. If you believe the Bears are finally waking up and ready to seize their destiny, tap that like button and let's finish what we started. Imagine the echoes of Soldier Field growing louder each time the crowd senses a coming storm, because if Trey Hendrickson really is suiting up in navy and orange, we're not just talking about a new addition to the roster, we're witnessing the rebirth of a defensive identity that once struck fear into every opponent. Close your eyes and picture it. The chains of the last season's 68 surrendered sacks shattered by Hendrickson's relentless pursuit, his veteran savvy turning 3rd and long into 3rd and fear. His explosive first step would not only collapse pockets, it would reset the very psyche of this team, transforming our trenches into an unbreachable fortress. Think back to the monsters of the Midway, that legendary 85 squad whose defense became the standard by which all others were measured. What if Hendrickson is the missing link that bridges our current rebuild to that storied legacy? In his 7 years in the league, he's consistently ranked among the top 5 edge defenders in pressures per snap, and his 14 sacks last year placed him tied for 6th overall. Those aren't just numbers on a stat sheet. They're the heartbeat of a defense hungry for respect. Now imagine him lining up across from foes who've spent weeks watching his film, only to gasp in frustration as he blows past double teams and hunts down quarterbacks in the flat. That's the kind of momentum shift that turns casual fans into diehards and stadiums into cathedrals of roar. But it's not just about statistics. It's about the narrative we tell ourselves as Bears supporters. We endured barren seasons, watched draft picks struggle to find their footing, and felt the sting of rival triumphs. We saw the Packers and Vikings hoist division trophies while we searched for an identity. Now, with Hendrickson's rumored arrival, it feels like the pendulum is finally swinging back toward Chicago, as if the ghosts of 1985 are whispering, "Welcome home." Contrast that with our division rivals. Minnesota's defense boasts youth and speed but lacks playoff experience, while Detroit's rebuild remains mired in offensive growing pains. If the Bears secure Hendrickson, we won't merely catch up, we'll set the pace. Consider the psychological uplift this move delivers. Fans who once approached tailgates with guarded optimism will march into Soldier Field with swagger, believing every snap could birth a game-defining strip sack or backfield demolition. Television analysts will pivot their pregame talking points, swapping questions about whether Chicago can protect its quarterback for forecasts of how many times Hendrickson will make his mark on the opposing sideline. Local sports bars will erupt at his first sack like it's the Super Bowl, because it will feel like the turning point of an era. Even casual viewers picking up this game just to check in will start whispering, "Who is that guy?" and "How do we get more of him?" Of course, there's risk in dreams as grand as this. What if injuries chip away at his explosiveness? What if the price paid in draft capital and cap space strains our ability to build depth? Yet, remember that legends are forged in uncertainty, and the greatest triumphs often demand the biggest gambles. If the Bears' front office structures Hendrickson's contract with incentives and safeguards, they'll protect the future while igniting the present. They'll send a message not just to free agents, but to every cornerback, safety, and linebacker in this locker room. Excellence is non-negotiable, and leadership isn't given. It's earned, snap by snap. And leadership is precisely what this team craves. Hendrickson's reputation for film room intensity, his knack for rallying rookies and veterans alike, could be the spark that turns a promising defense into a relentless collective. Picture Trevis Gibson refining his technique under Hendrickson's watchful eye, or a rookie draft pick soaking in his every word on pass rush mechanics. That mentorship creates a feedback loop of improvement, where each player raises his game because the bar has been set by a warrior who's tasted the highest glory. So here we stand, on the cusp of a defining moment in Bears history. If Trey Hendrickson arrives, we'll witness a transformation that reaches far beyond the stat sheet. It will redefine the culture, reignite our passion, and set a course for playoff contention that feels not only possible, but inevitable. The question is no longer whether Chicago can compete. It's whether they have the conviction to bet big, the vision to embrace risk, and the grit to seize greatness. As your fellow Bears fan, I believe they will. Now let's ride this thunder and watch the legacy unfold. Go Bears!